Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to the 7th episode of Pony Racing. Today is a bit of a special episode because we are live here on site at CCC camp. So I'm just gonna show you a little bit how it looks like. So with me today, I do not have my usual co-commentator Bob. He has written the challenges for today, but instead I have Vito with me here.
Good afternoon.
And we are broadcasting from the Dragon Sector and Eat Sleep Pwn Repeat tent. So we have our 4 participants here at the middle table. Can I get a wave from you?
We have Zap, we have SPQ, we have Quend, and aweinstock.
Great. And the format is going to be just a little bit different today than what we usually do. So instead of one challenge, today we will be having kind of like a race with multiple challenges, which are simpler. So the rules of this are like this. So all of the players will start with the first challenge at the same time. The first one to solve the challenge will get 5 points and also start a 5-minute countdown timer. Within those 5 minutes, the other players are able to also finish the challenge to get 3, 2, or 1 points, depending on which order they solve it. If you don't solve it within those 5 minutes, you get 0 points, and all players move on to the next challenge. At the end, the player with the most points win. And yeah, it's the winner of the 7th episode of Pony Racing. So I'm going to ask all the players, do you have the first challenge ready in front of you? It would be A, yes.
So we should extract the car.
Yeah, so you can extract the episode 7A challenge. And when you've done so, just like give me a wave so that we know that we're ready. And we'll do a countdown and start at the same time. Okay, cool. So we'll start the first challenge of this episode of Pony Racing in 3, 2, 1, go. So let's look. Yeah, so just sort of taking a quick look at what the different players are going to use for tooling. Let's see if I can. No, I cannot. So it will be a little bit small. Okay, so let's looking here at SPQ, starting out with just trying to run the challenge and doing some random inputs. We have quend, which I have to sort out the resolution for. So let's move on to SAP using Ghidra, one of the newer tools in the toolbox, and we have aweinstock, who is been running the program a little bit and doing some initial dynamic analysis. Let me just quickly sort this out. Sorry about this. Great. Okay. So.
And it looks like Quend has also started running the binary.
Yes, using a light color scheme for the terminal, which is
interesting choice. Everybody always thinks hackers like dark backgrounds.
Yeah, it's the dark mode versus light mode debate. It's like the new Vim versus Emacs battle. So,
as it turns out, all the Vim and Emacs users like their dark backgrounds.
True. Let's see here. So if we look at SPQ screen, he was firing up IDA for this analysis. So it looks like so far we have all the players using different reverse engineering tools for this. He's also running the one gadget tool to find some suitable gadgets for this, so which will be useful. So maybe we could do just a quick explanation of what this challenge is about. So the first one is actually just a super simple, like textbook buffer overflow. So this one is it's not really about like figuring out what to do. It's just about really quick execution. So.
But he's also saying that really loudly and looking at the players, so let's not
Yeah.
be hasty. So, sometimes challenges are harder than you think they are.
Yeah.
And it's...
So we can see here on SPQ's screen. So just looking what different imported functions we have, what library functions, which are not that many. It's just some input and output stuff. So fortunately, they have been given the libc for this challenge. So should be possible to just get like a one-shot gadget and like that. And we can already see here, if you look at SPQ screen, he has been starting writing his exploit script, and yeah, it's he found this address for, I don't know actually what that is yet, but because I missed when he copied it, but yeah, he has something there going on. So moving into SAP, he is googling for the one gadget tool. That's good. So he didn't came as prepared as SPQ, which now costs him time. But I mean, it's still a good idea. Yeah,
we've altered the experiment by observing it.
Yes, and yeah, and it's a Ruby tool, so you need to install that as well. Which, if you haven't, also adds a little bit of time. But so checking in with aweinstock. I can't quite see what's going on his terminal, but looks like a bit of disassembly. I'm gonna see if I can adjust my screen settings to better view this. No, and now this is like running it with like ltrace to see all the reads, to see whether the program is reading one character at a time. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what he's going for at the moment. So let's switch over to Quend, who's using binary Ninja. So that means that still all of our players are using different tools for this analysis. Yeah, and she has also started out with a little bit of a exploit script. Yeah, just your like standard Python exploit scripting there. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. I think at the moment SPQ looked like he was, getting ahead a little bit, but it's very hard to tell with such a simple. He's building. You can see here at the left side of his screen that he's building some kind of rob chain. Unfortunately, he doesn't name his addresses, so I mean, I'm not exactly sure what those different things are, but it looks to be like one address in the binary, or like two addresses in the binary, and then just a dummy value there. Oh, and he's like adding comments now. That's awesome. So he has a pop RDI gadget and then the address to the put S string. So just doing some memory leak there, I guess. So yeah. So yeah. So one of the players is having a little bit of a technical issue.
Yep, Zap got a screen full of nonsense.
Yeah, it's like the big brother of the
like the
blue
TV
screen.
turned to a dead channel. Yeah, the Ghidra users are getting weird technical issues.
Oof, put on your tinfoil hats right now. Yeah, and just want to check with the people on the YouTube if the volume and sound, everything is fine with the commentary. So can just someone drop something in chat to comment about that. We didn't really try out the setup before starting. We are professionals. Okay, so there's a lot of green text on black
Word
background.
from Carlo is everything is good.
Nice, thank you, Carlo. Yeah, so I was immediately drawn to the green text on black background on aweinstock's screen, and I still can't quite read the text.
Just hack harder.
Sorry, what?
Hack harder. Keep going. We don't want to interrupt you that much.
Yeah, it's just reconnect to the stream and it will work. Okay. Oh, so he is using R2 for the analysis. So that means that the 4 players are, in fact, using one tool of them. And I think this is the first time in a pony racing episode we've seen anyone use R2. I think this is actually the first time I ever see anyone using R2 in a serious context. But you know, each to their own, whatever floats your boat, whatever pops your shells, etc. Yeah, we'll see how that tactic turns out on the scoreboard later. And yeah. So, if we look back at Quend, she is now doing some just like inline Python scripting on the command line. I guess just abandoned the idea of having a script file. So this can be good for just some preliminary testing, but I personally just prefer to put it like in a file that you can rerun and edit it properly. But
yeah, I've done it both ways. I've spent a lot of time in REPLs just, trying to rewrite a string. Actually, the first time I did a format string here at a CC camp 4 years ago, I spent a lot of time getting it right in the REPL before I went and built a script to do it. And both ways, work, I guess.
Yeah, it's... I saw a comment in chat about the download for the participants, and that's true. So as usual, we post the challenges for anyone to sing along at home, and I haven't done so this time, so I will. Let me just get into chat, and I'll give it to you in a moment. So there you are, and of course, don't provide any spoilers to any of the participants, however that would work. So yeah, for those who want to play along with the challenges from home. So getting back into the actual stream, we can look at SPQ's screen, and he is putting together his blockchain there and just leaking some kind of data, which would be so he's leaking the libc base and then adding an offset to the one gadget, and then I guess trying to execute that. But let's see. So he's trying to run his exploit. He's getting a lot of bogus output from the very nice banners that Bob always adds to his challenges. I really like them, and this time they have nice
there's
individual ones
reflections and specular highlights on the ANSI art.
Yeah, he doesn't mess around with that. It's
ANSI art's serious business.
Yeah,
we need more of it.
So which we can see here on really nice on the SAP screen. So what SAP is doing here is just trying different lengths, it seems, for the buffer overflow.
And it looks like Quend may be working on that too. I saw a few.
Yeah,
let's
there. Move over to her screen. Yes.
See some registers.
Yes. So, oh wait, I should. This is some oddity about the setup here. So I'll just. Okay, sorry about that. I just adjusted the resolution a little bit so we can see better what she is doing. Perfect. And yeah, so she just started with this basic exploitation script where she was trying to find out the offset for the buffer overflow, where things end up after overflowing the buffer. And it seems like she has now done so and is continuing on with the next thing. So SPQ is still continuing with his ROP chain, which has now changed a little bit, became a little bit longer. Still not sure exactly what it seems like. It seems like just calling puts a couple of times, but I'm not exactly sure where he is going yet. So yeah, so it seems like this was maybe not as quite as simple as predicted, which is also kind of like a staple of Bob when he makes the challenges. He always tells me like, but I mean, like he makes great challenges. He likes to think that people are really good, and yeah.
Well, that's always an issue with CTF challenges. Sometimes they're easy, sometimes they're not.
Yeah.
And until you get a bunch of people trying it, you really don't have a good read on how hard it is.
No, it's totally true. I mean, you can have a hunch, but
Yeah.
it's so much different when you're actually like creating the challenge and you know it from the inside out.
And one of the things we've learned about authoring challenges is that like difficulty doesn't mean nobody solves it, and it doesn't mean like an easy challenge isn't one that everybody solves. What you want is a good challenge that people solve at different times, as a way of telling who's better, or who happened to do that particular challenge better, maybe.
Yeah. So looking here at Weinstock's screen, he is also now putting together some notes here. Found some nice gadgets and yeah, just preparing to start writing his exploit script here. So some Pwn tools, starting the process, and make a little bit of a like boilerplate setup for like you running it either locally or remotely, so that when the exploit actually works, you can just like flip a flag or whatever and just run it on the remote server. So yeah, also I want to remind the participants that I think the scoring system might be like the automatic scoring system might be a little bit broken, so just please like shout or something when you actually solve the challenge, and we will also see that here. Thank you very much. As I said, we are professionals. We have everything is under control. Yeah, it's hard to tell exactly what's going on at the moment. We see some more Binja or binary ninja analysis here from quend, looking at exactly how this like input is received by the program, and then further processed. Basically, the program just receives input to a buffer and then prints that buffer again, I think, if I remember correctly.
That's my understanding, yes.
Yes. So we'll see. Still some different attempts on running this on SPQ's screen. We can switch over, I think. Well, Matt seems to have some issues with his stream, so we'll get back to that later. Yeah, so Weinstock is now debugging here, and you can see this looking at the backtrace when it's crashed, trying to understand exactly what happened, I guess. So I still can't make out the exact text here, so unfortunately I have a little hard time. So Weinstock, could you maybe like just increase the font size in your terminal just like a little bit, like 1 or 2 notches? Yeah, we'll see. There's a little bit of delay, but yeah. So what do?
This time between the challenges, I can try changing the amount of shrinking it.
Yeah, we'll look into that. Yeah, so we can see here Sophia reading up on the Pwn tools documentation, and I remember her saying that like about an hour before we started that she hadn't installed Pwn tools yet or something. So yeah, it's I mean, there's also a lot of different modules in there. I still haven't used all of them. I typically I learn about the new one. Oh, we have a solve here from SPQ. Great. First solve. that means I will start a 5-minute countdown. So the other players now have 5 minutes to also solve the challenge, and if they do, they will get some points, and if they don't get points. And SPQ get the privilege to just like relax for a couple of minutes, yeah. So we'll continue on with the others.
Need water, mate, or a beer or anything? Yeah.
Yes. So, checking in with Quend after having read the Pro Tools manual. She now is continuing with the some dynamic analysis and exploiting the program. I mean, she's getting the crash, and she has some kind of exploit going on there, because you can see in their Python script there's like the padding and then some you know, wisely chosen bytes in there, but since it's just being run directly from the command line, it's hard to, you know, understand the context here, so I'm not exactly sure at what stage she is, but there's definitely something going on there. I still have some issues with Matt's stream. Let's see if we can get that sorted, but let's continue and look at aweinstock. Still doing some debugging here, checking the memory layout of the program to understand, like, you know, where is the actual program is located, and where is like libc, and how, you know, big are these things, and so on. Maybe to just like compare it against if you're doing like a memory leak, to double check that. Or yeah, partial overwrites, and with different things, like, you know, just make sure that what's happening is what you're expecting, so that you don't have any mistakes. So yeah, and yeah, the half of the 5 minutes have now passed, so like the pressure is mounting on the remaining players, if anyone is gonna secure those valuable extra points to continue on the race. Yeah, it's yeah, and still, I mean, we can see here Quend running some you know, some exploit from the command line, but you know, it's a bit difficult to, you know, follow along with that, so I'm not gonna attempt to decode that at the moment. So you can check in with aweinstock, some nice strong purple on black here to just really
I believe it's magenta.
Magenta, yes, that's absolutely true, and it's still as painful for my eyes, but he's still, yeah, it's looking at the memory layout, and now you can see him editing his oh yeah, so he has copied that into as a comment into his script as a reminder. So he did some editing of his exploit script, and now he switched back to the debugger, and you know, just trying to read part of the memory to just check that things are where he expects them to be, and yeah, so to be able to make the most out of that. So I can now tell you that there is less than a minute left before we are gonna move on to the next challenge. So I really hope that, you know, the players have some ace up their sleeve now. Time is getting a little bit short. Can we see one of those like magic last second pawns here?
We are now at 20 seconds remaining.
Yeah. And yeah, still unfortunately a little bit of a problem with SAP's stream. We'll try to fix that before we start the next challenge. And
What's our time?
And
3, 2, 1.
stop. Okay, great job, everyone. Put down your exploits. Okay, so after the first round, we have SPQ at 5 points and the others at 0 points. Great job. So, yeah, you can all just like make sure you have the second challenge prepared and are ready for that. And just, you know, have your working area prepared and everything. And Sap, could you just check your OBS?
It should be up.
Okay.
Do I need to adjust my font size or anything? Or?
Yeah, could you just increase your font size a little bit as well? So,
And the question from Carlo in the chat is, how many challenges are there today?
so there are a maximum of 5 challenges, but depending on the timing, we might not go on for that long. So
Right.
I think it's actually quite likely that we will not go on for that long.
So we will see. At least one, but
Yeah,
not more than 5.
exactly.
Thank you for the question. Oh.
Is this font better?
Let me check.
And we think your stream, or I think your stream may be a ways behind. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Could you just stop and start your stream again? Just make sure that.
Restarting.
Are you in Vim right now?
No.
Okay.
I am in a shell. I've made the directory and I'm unbarring the second challenge.
Yeah.
We still see a lot of purple text.
Yeah. No. No.
Okay,
Wait.
should I try stopping and restarting?
Okay, we just saw you run Pwn 7a a bunch.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you should wait. I can actually let me see if I can just.
Okay, we.
Okay. Now, yeah. Now I think we're synced up.
Yep, we see you fidgeting with your beard.
Yeah. Great. I'll just see this as well. See if there's anything.
Try changing the resolution either up or down to see if that fixes the lag.
Well, what resolution do you have out?
Let me check settings. 960 by 540.
No, that's okay. That's fine. Okay. So still have some issues with SAP's stream, but otherwise, no. Now it's there. Good. Okay. So let's start the. Everyone's ready for the second challenge? Great. I didn't hear anyone saying no, so I take that as a yes. So let's start challenge number 2 in 3, 2, 1, go. So let's talk about challenge number 2.
Or EP7 minus B, as in Bravo.
Exactly. We have, I mean, as we said, these are, you know, fairly simple challenges. So in this one, so the first challenge was you know, kind of like a textbook stack buffer overflow with some that you had to then do. I think SPQ did a ROP and took it from there. And this one we have just you know, your standard format string vulnerability. So it's just a like simple binary which takes some input and passes it to printf. And
Format strings are really cute. There's been a few CTFs in the past that had way too many. Well, I won't say way too many, but a lot of format string challenges. And I think these days it's kind of becoming a dying thing because of how a lot of programming languages are changing how they're handling format strings.
Yeah, and like compiler protections, if you use those. I mean, a lot of programs don't, but it's one of those things that's very easy to catch with like some simple static analysis. So, shouldn't be as prevalent as it used to be. But I mean, it still ends up happening.
It's an important challenge, and it demonstrates a different way of thinking from buffer overflow type work.
Yeah. So we can see here aweinstock starting out immediately with some Pwny tools scripting, and getting that up quickly. And as I've said in previous episode, I really like to start out with my exploit script really quick to just like keep any kind of like manual repetition at a minimum, to just have everything automated.
Yeah, that's something I always struggle with whenever I'm doing that kind of thing, is knowing when I need to start scripting it versus when I should continue poking at it by hand. The script works really well, but there's a little bit of mental overhead there because now you're thinking in your scripting language and also the language of the challenge and the, analyzing the challenge. It's complicated stuff.
Yeah, it's true. And as you start putting in like abstractions into your exploit script, you have to make sure that those are like working the way you intend them to, because as I said, otherwise you'll have like when something something unexpected starts happening at a later stage, you have now more layers of abstractions to like find out where did it go wrong. So like, is this a bug in the program, or like not a bug which you thought was a bug, or is it a bug in your script?
Did I remember to set like SO no block or whatever in my TCP connection?
So so we can see SAP here also starting out with just writing a bit of like a dummy template script, just doing, I guess, dumping part of the stack with the format string exploit. You can see him just dumping chunks of the stack, which is like a typical thing you would do with just starting out with the format string thing. So looking at SPQ is also let's see what he is doing. So he is using the built-in format string module of Pwny tools, which will automate a lot of these things. So I mean, it's a really powerful module. If you get like the setup correct and you get it to work, it can do a lot of these things just automatically for you.
And that's a brilliant part of Pwny tools. There's a lot of stuff that it can do automatically for you if you can get the setup right.
Yeah.
That's a famous issue with so many CTF tools. You just have to hold them right, and it can be kind of difficult.
Yeah. And again, it's like, now every now and then you kind of like encounter this kind of like edge case where you have this tool and it's like it's kind of working but not specifically for this case. So like if you just could tweak it a little bit, it might work. And then you're getting into someone else's code, which might not always be of like the let's say like highest software engineering quality code. And
oh no, nobody's ever made a Pwny script like high quality software engineering. It's a land of single letter variable names if you're not using cuss words or
oh yeah, that's all too relatable. So looking at it with aweinstock, he is also setting up this like format string thing, dumping the stack at different offsets, to see what's in there. Is there anything we can use to perform this attack? And the same with quend also doing that. So we have 3 players doing it like fully manually, and then we have SPQ trying the Pwny tools format string module. So we'll see. I think that's kind of like the move that would either put you way ahead or cause some major headache. But I think in a challenge as simple as this one, it shouldn't really be an issue.
Possibly not. We'll see. On our side screen, I'm looking at some these Camp CTF challenges from 4 years ago, and my write-ups for them, trying to find my original format string.
Okay, yeah, great. Yeah, so there is a Camp CDF starting tomorrow, I think.
Yes, tomorrow at noon Central European time. So I believe that's 10 a.m. UTC,
Yeah.
or is it 1400 UTC?
No, that's correct. That's 10 UTC. We are +2 here at CCC Camp in Germany. So looking at these the different places, we can see here again, aweinstock has made a little bit of script to like dump the contents of a stack in a loop. You know, just trying to see what's in there, trying to see what of these things could he possibly like overwrite something interesting. What are the constraints of this problem? And yeah, SAP is also doing some analysis in Ghidra here to you know, see maybe like if there are any like imported functions, or yeah, what's different like tools or pieces or gadgets that he can use. It's hard to see. So he is searching for. He's searching for like which libc version this is, I guess. Yeah, so he's grepping for a version in libc. So yeah,
And the challenge does come with its libc included, so
yeah, exactly. So as with the first one, we have provided the libc. Okay, so SPQ is back in IDA, and just he has identified like the stack cookie and just like renaming the different variables to get like a complete understanding of the layout of the stack, to then be able to properly perform this format string attack. So I guess maybe we could just like give like a brief explainer. So basically the core idea of the format string vulnerability is that it uses the fact that in C, like there's really no way to like signal like the calling convention. There isn't really like a intrinsic way of signaling how many arguments are being passed to the function. So it's just implied by the number of format placeholders in the first argument, which means that if you are provided with a first argument like a format string which has more format placeholders than there are actual, you know, arguments pushed on the stack, it will just continue reading down the stack.
that's right. So one thing that compilers are starting to do, but this challenge was not compiled with those compilers, is if a compiler sees that you're calling a format string with data from, you know, a file descriptor or somewhere else, it can stop and say, you're doing bad thing, I'm not going to compile. You can also disable that warning, don't do that. But once the hacker, or, you know, anybody writing the format string is able to decide how many arguments get popped off the stack, they can use that and they can leak the values of those arguments, and they might as soon as they pop off more, they might no longer be arguments. Beyond that, they may be an instruction pointer to where we called printf from, a pointer to the format string, a integer of the attacker's choosing, the contents of the string if it's on the stack, and so on.
Yeah.
And one of the really brilliant things they can do is there's, I believe it's %n,
Yep.
the format specifier. It allows them to, using the format string, build up how many bytes, and then %n will take the next address off the stack and write the amount of bytes to that address. So if they have their format string on the stack and they call printf with that format string, they can write arbitrary data somewhere in memory, with the catch that that data has to be small enough to be outputtable with over the wire with the format string.
Exactly. You can, however, kind of get around that by using, there's like a qualifier for the %n with the h and hh, so you can do just 1 or 2 byte writes as well.
Right.
And you might ask yourself, like, what is the purpose of this %n originally? Like, it was not intended for exploits, presumably. So the idea is that if you're kind of like outputting maybe like a table or something, you can like maybe you write your first line with some dynamic content, and then you can kind of extract how many characters did I actually write, so you can like align like the columns of that table or something like that.
Yeah, it's a somewhat error-prone way, but if you're writing in C, like you're already used to error-prone ways of doing things, and it may be the best tool you have.
Yeah.
I've certainly found format strings a lot easier to understand, like than C out syntax. That's a whole nother ballgame.
It's true. We have, if you look here again at Weinstock's screen, he's been like so he's back in R2 and just jumping back and forth between R2 and his exploit script, trying to, it looks like he's looking up locations of different functions and like putting that into his format string attack. So maybe trying to do like a partial overwrite of one of the important functions, for example. So it's going to be interesting to see if he does manage that. Can check back in with Quend, who's you can see here still like dumping some things off the stack, trying to, I guess, still figure out, what of these could be useful. Like try to figure out what different kinds of addresses are these. And like a good thing to notice is like typically all these different things that are allocated in memory are typically allocated at different areas. So you can start recognizing by looking at like the prefixes of these addresses. You can quickly see that this is probably a stack address, and this is probably like a library address, and this could be an address into the actual program. And try to like sort those things out to see what are they actually pointing at, what can we read, what can we write, and so on. So so now SPQ is reading the documentation for the format string module, which to me implies that everything didn't just work straight out of the box. It's still. I mean, I kind of like want this to work, because I really like when you have these like pre-made tools and they can like make things easier for you. But as we said, sometimes they can make things odd.
With that said, they still have another day they can work on this problem to land it before I could probably land it.
True. It's these are top-notch players from some really good CTF's teams. Actually, it turns out in the end it was we only have representatives from 2 different teams. We have 3 RPISec members and SPQ from Easily Pwn Repeat, who as we all know is like top-notch CTF team. So looking here at SPQ, he is trying to run his script. We can again see, I think,
looks like a Python stack trace.
Yeah, and then you have all that garbage is probably just the output of the ANSI banner, which has been mangled up. So there's something that not quite working for him. So hopefully he'll be able to sort that out. It's still not seeing like any immediate progress yet here, which we can look here at Weinstock's exploit script and see that he has some things like he's packing 2 addresses in there, and then I guess trying to refer to them from his exploit script. And so maybe there's something about like the alignment or the offsets that's not quite working. So hopefully he will get that sorted. If we switch over again to SAP, he again just like dumping, see like 40 elements from the stack with this format string, but now just changing it. there's also another trick. Like if you don't want to, like if you want to reach a value further down the stack, but you don't want to like dump like 100 values before that because like it's messy, or you might not have the space for your format string. You can use the like dollar sign reference thing, which is so the original intended idea of it is that you can reference the arguments to printf in what
In
order?
different order.
Yeah, exactly.
Where you don't necessarily want to rewrite the entire argument list for printf. You may just want to work on the format string while you're changing the output to match, you know, somebody's preference.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that could be, for example, like a localization thing where
Oh, absolutely. Localization is huge.
yeah, where the like one part of the sentence would come before another part of the sentence depending on what language you're using and so
Yeah.
on. But it also allows us to just say like I want like argument number 40, which of course there is no argument number 40. It's just we go deep down the stack to the 40th around or something like that element and access that.
Figure out where in your format string that's on the stack you're landing.
Yeah. So now we have Matt here visiting Stack Overflow. He's reading a question: how do positional arguments in format string work? So, all of you listeners, you already know that by now by having listened to us. But
And typing into Google without
Yeah.
anybody watching over your shoulder.
so yeah, it's a very powerful feature. Like it's good when you have like a size constraint. It's also good to get like a cleaner exploit and like yeah, you don't have to like count in your terminal output to the like 18th element or whatever.
And it's also very good to read a description instead of hearing a third-hand, half-forgotten one from two commentators at the front of the room.
Yeah. So the look back again here at SPQ's screen. So if we look at this payload here, he is basically trying to do an arbitrary write to write an address to specific location, and so the format string module here basically works like you give it a function which is your kind of like interface to the application you are exploiting, which is responsible for like getting the format string in the right place. In this case, it's like super simple. You just you're prompted for it and you send it. But this could of course be like a super complicated thing where you have to like go into some menu and name your pet this and then like sell it to your grandfather and you know whatnot before that format string gets triggered. So you provide it a function to say like this is just the like app interface for the module. And then you have this interface, so he's using this write thing where you give it a value and address, so he tries to write that value into that address. Now he just deleted all of that from the script, so it might not be working as he had hoped. But that's the theory at least. Yeah.
I believe he'd be sitting back a lot farther from the keyboard and celebrating if it was working as he hoped. But
Yeah. So yeah, if we look at Quend here, she's in the debugger trying to like dumping some memory, I guess, like comparing to you know, the output she's receiving, and you know just trying to get the kind of like understanding of the layout of the stack to get this all then working as it's supposed to be. Sorry, did your stream crash again? Or your computer? Okay, so Sap again, his computer crashed. I don't know if it's like the heat or he. Yeah, that's very unfortunate. But we have 3 participants still going strong and might have a 4th one back soon. So you know, let's keep on fighting. Yeah, it crashed while he was reading the documentation about how the positional arguments work. That's unfortunate. He never got to know.
I got it working.
He got it working. That's good. It's good. So we can look here at aweinstock's exploit code, and you can see here it's like masking out a part of a value. So I guess it feels like he's gonna attempt like a partial overwrite of a function pointer, just like taking that base value, or like oh no, maybe actually he's just like splitting his write up into two byte values. So he has this value that he wants to write, and he's splitting it into like a higher and a lower word to perform this format string write. Because as we said, the %n will write the value that indicates how many characters have been written so far, which means that if you want to fully control a full 4-byte value, you will have to output a lot of characters, and that might not be feasible over a network. So instead you can just split it up into either two 2-byte halves or 4 single-byte writes, and do it in chunks. And then of course you will have to like slightly adjust the addresses where you write to. So
we have a question about using Mac. Only one of the competitors are on a Mac. The other 3 are on ThinkPads.
yes. So yeah, I mean, for example, personally, I do use a MacBook, but I usually do all my exploiting in a Linux VM. So it doesn't, I mean, I'm using the hardware of a Mac, but
Yeah, I've been spoiled by big trackpads.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if you actually want to run these binaries, it does help to have an actual Linux environment, because all of these challenges are like 32-bit x86 Linux executables. So yeah, that's a little bit on the computers. We have three ThinkPads and a MacBook. That's like the title of I don't know. Never mind. So if we look here at SPQ's script, he has now completely discarded using the format string module and doing this like by hand instead. Yeah, we got a comment from the audience, story of my life, and yeah, so this is exactly the thing I was talking about. Like, you have this nice prepackaged tool that you think like, oh, this will just fit perfectly, and then like a bit into setting it up, you realize that there's some constraint that it's not met, or like yeah, so you just like throw all of that out and just do it by hand instead.
That was me making coffee this morning. Over at Ada's Cafe, they have a La Marzocco. It's a coffee machine that probably costs like $20,000. And I'm looking at it, I keep looking at it, and then I give up and go use my $30 AeroPress because it's the tool I'm used to. And it doesn't measure all the water and heat it for me, but it also, I know how to work it.
Yeah, so I mean, like, the best tool is the one you actually can use.
The one you practice with.
Yeah. So what he's doing here is basically the same thing as we saw aweinstock doing. He has like this desired value that he wants to write. He's splitting it up into two word halves. And then also what you have to keep track of, so this what you can see here in his script, is that if you want to write, if you want to do multiple %n writes in a format string attack, you have to remember that the counter doesn't reset after you used %n, so you have to kind of manually keep track of like, okay, I increased this character counter to be 100, and now I want to write like 120, and then I only need to output another 20 characters to get the counter up there.
Right. And then if you want to output, like 17 after that 120, you have to increment past the edge, and it'll wrap around.
Yeah, exactly. So that's something you have to like keep track of in your exploit script manually when you're doing this. So like, which value do I want to write? What's the current value of the character counter? So what's the difference there? And then just add that, and then increment your own counter to keep track of that.
And it would be easy to say this is simple arithmetic, but so much of what we're doing is it's complicated because computers are involved, because there's lots of different levels of abstraction involved.
Yep.
Even simple arithmetic is, it's another variable you have to think about.
Yeah, and I mean, well, at the moment I think all the participants are like decently fresh, but this might also be like at the CTF at 4 a.m. And then even simple arithmetic is like is 1 + 1 really 2 at 4 a.m.? Big questions. Yeah, so let's skip back to aweinstock, and we can see that he's slowly building up his format.
Yeah, it looked exciting. I saw some ANSI art there for a second.
Yeah, so he's trying it out against the binary. I'm not sure exactly how far he has gotten yet. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what's his next step. So I think he's just fixing some bugs with the like how he split up. There was some masking there going on. Yeah, we'll see how that works out. Yeah, so Zap, is your computer back up or?
It is, but every time I start the streaming software, my computer.
Awesome.
So
Okay,
I could do it again. And
that's
see,
yeah.
and
Well,
so I'll do it.
let's try it.
Alright.
We're playing with fire here.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess
It should be streaming.
let's see. Yeah, you're live again. Cool.
I control almost all the bytes of RIP.
Okay, so
Okay, so we have like aweinstock has reported that he's getting close. He's getting there.
My arithmetic is wrong. Like one
His-
of the nibbles is wrong.
Yeah, so some slight mistakes going on, but
he just needs to take a bite out of that nibble. Oh! I'm getting lots of disapproving head shaking at me.
yeah, and we're hashtag sorry not sorry. And, yeah, so
I'm just going
I'm-
to put my sunglasses on and tell y'all to deal with it.
we should have had the camera on now, but you just imagine this. So looking at quend here, she's doing some debugging again here with the binary. See, let's just sending some input, and I guess trying to figure out where that input ends up. So if you want to maybe like reuse the buffer for also storing some arguments for something else, or just keeping track of where it ends up. So so it seems that so both SPQ and aweinstock seems to be doing good. Like they have a good progress on this. I think it could be a tight race between them. So SPQ is back in the debugger. I guess it's like trying to figure out exactly what's happening with this exploit. Maybe there's something that's not quite working as expected.
Okay, the arithmetic's mostly right for the IP now. Like,
So aweinstock is now claiming that
offsets that just
he has
kinda
this
act
thing.
together.
The arithmetic is, quote, mostly right.
If you can see in the debugger, I can set the IP to ABCD.
Okay, he's claiming that he has IP control. So let's see what he will do with that. As one of my old colleagues and kind of like mentors said, he's like, don't celebrate just because you have IP control. But he also had this like saying, like whenever you think you have found a bug, you should celebrate, because like you will get robbed of that celebration then when you discover it wasn't actually a bug. So you're living a happier life if you celebrate.
Making progress in discoveries, even if it's not the right one, you're still making progress.
Yeah, that's true.
So much of this reverse engineering work is, just learning things about the binary, learning what it's doing, and, discovering that something is promising, and then discovering that it's not promising, like that's still valuable information.
Yeah. So, let's see here. Yeah, so aweinstock has went and fetched some addresses and stuff to figure out what to overwrite or where to overwrite, and just adding those addresses in at the top of his script, keeping it clean and organized. That's I really like that, to put like all the relevant offsets and stuff as named clean variables at the top, because then it's like easy to understand what you're doing, and if you need to change something, that's clean and structured. That's
Makes it easy to refer back to them later.
yeah. And so we can see here that SPQ has set up, instead of running it locally, like launching the process directly from the Pwny script, he's now set up a SOCAT listener to more properly mimic the setup on the remote server. I think for me personally, it was a long time ago. I think this actually was an issue in practice, but yeah, there could be things where depending on if you just like running the binary or launching it with SOCAT, you get slight differences in like memory layout. So
if it's launching it with different environment variables or arguments, that could change things.
exactly. So I mean,
Citation needed, but
yeah, hopefully your exploit should be not really like relying on that, but sometimes you have this kind of thing working, and in the end it's like what matters is the shell. So
yeah, if you're doing stuff the wrong way but it works, ...
exactly.
I've p-opened netcat in my fair share of scripts.
Yeah. Oh, so here we have something going on over with aweinstock. So he's running this in some kind of loop, maybe like trying different offsets, or trying it multiple times to get it working. I didn't quite catch exactly what's going on, but we'll see. Meanwhile, sorry about that. Meanwhile, quend's doing still some analysis in GDB, just looking at like a memory layout and trying to maybe searching for something specific, or trying to figure out what the general structure is. So I think it looks like aweinstock is trying to run this remotely now? No, I can see a debugger there, so it's not quite there yet, but maybe soon. Yeah.
Now, if he was running the debugger remotely, that would be really impressive, but
yeah, I would be a bit worried, because that would indicate something about my setup, but yeah. Just randomly exposed like a debug port on the challenge server. So
just sharing, /proc over Nginx or something.
why I mean, why not? Yeah, so it's trying to see here what SPQ is up to. Seems like he was seems like he's picking out some specific address, or making some slight adjustments to his format string and trying to run it again. But there's something, I guess, that's not quite there in his setup. You can see to the right, he's also looking at like the memory layout of the program to understand what things end up where, to make sure that everything is what you expect them to be. Yeah, so yeah, I'm not getting anything from SAP anymore. It's unfortunate. Feels like his laptop is not really cooperating today. Oh, now it's working again. cool. You just have to shame the laptop a little bit, and it gets right onto it. Okay. So, yeah, who is going to get this one? It's I mean, I think it feels like it's between SPQ and aweinstock, but it's really kind of hard to tell at the moment how far away they are from like popping this one. So
I mean, it's the exact same issue with showing hackers in movies. It looks like a bunch of stuff flying by on screen until somebody gets it.
yeah, that's yes, absolutely. Except that it's not as intense as in the movies. It's like none of that like 4 hands on a keyboard. Oh my God, he's in the firewall.
Yeah, nobody's even made a Visual Basic GUI yet. I don't
No,
get it.
it's true. Like trace the hacker's IP address, and exactly some Prodigy music in the background, and should get some balaclavas for all the participants. Really helps in this heat, I guess.
Set a projector to project hex codes in everybody's face.
Oh yeah. On the topic, they announced a new Matrix movie. The Matrix 4 is
Whoa.
coming. So that was with Keanu Reeves and everything. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be awesome, like completely unironically.
Are the Wachowskis writing?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
I at least saw one of them in the mention, or like I saw the name mentioned. So yeah,
That's good.
be cool. So, anyway, less
This
Matrix.
has been your movie minute.
Yeah. Okay, so am I even getting yeah, okay. I think sorry, just have to no wait. Fix this stream. Yeah, okay. We might have a little bit of an issue with Quend's stream. But we'll sort that out as we go. Oh,
And I'm running my stuff with my server, so
that's an issue.
it still works though, so you should be able to do it.
Yeah, we. I mean, you've been staring at the GDB output for like 10 minutes now. Yeah. So I started suspecting that maybe it's not just that you're slow or anything. Yeah, that was actually a problem with the connection.
Yeah, I keep dropping back.
Okay, yeah.
Dropping frames.
Well, it is what it is. But we're still, we're still live. The dangers of live streaming stuff. So, yeah, we're seeing some activity here over at aweinstocks, and yeah, will he? It's almost like he's really switching back and forth between his exploit script and trying it out. So, could this be just some like final adjustments? Thank you. So. Yeah, he's just trying different offsets to leak here, I guess, and so I'm not sure exactly what he's looking for. Maybe like a libc address or something to be able to know where to jump to with that IP control that he had. Yeah, so we'll see how that works out. Looking at SPQ again.
Some furious script editing going on.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like it seems like he has kept like the overall structure the same for quite a while now. So I guess it's just some, slight adjustments and just bug fixing here and so he's like if you can look there at like line like in the middle of the screen you have some like format string for leaking a libc base pointer, and so I guess like using that to then be able to write, I guess for example the system like address of the system function or something else to you know, control the execution and eventually get.
And
get a
that's
shell.
not necessarily line noise on the right. I believe that's the ANSI art on a too skinny window.
Yes, and you can see like some of the like ANSI command codes here that just like breaking up a little bit, and yeah, looks a little bit cool though. It's like, yeah,
Corrupt ANSI art is my aesthetic.
yeah. So let's see. You can look here at Sap, who is, you know, again going back into his exploit script and doing, you know, trying to write this address, I guess, somewhere. Not. So he's going to then like write the whole 32-bit in one chunk. Can be a bit of a, yeah, I don't know, maybe that's a problem, maybe it will work. Trying to find the location of the exit function and the system function, and just try to see what's the difference between them, to see if we can do just a like partial overwrite of that to like change the exit function into the system function, for example. Yeah, and well, let's see, do we have quend back? It's no longer just GDP output though, so at least something's happened.
Oh yeah, there's...
Yeah, okay, there's activity there. Okay, cool, great. So we have all 4 players online. Whew. Yeah, it's this like part of the challenge where you're just like waiting for that,
Yeah.
you know, that little thing that will, you know, get one of the players just over the edge and pop that shell. But it's still, you know, struggling with some issues on these exploit scripts.
From the chat, we have Nicholas B talking about a Jinmo 123 and their typing speed.
Yeah. So we had an episode a couple of months back where we had Jinmo as one of our participants, and he's insane. So typically our episodes last for like 1.5 to 2 hours. I think he solved the challenge within like 15 minutes. And yeah, so for the first time we didn't even like stop after the first solve. So we kept going for like another 45 minutes or so to actually like have an episode, because he just like smashed it in a couple of minutes. Yeah. So, but he's not on this episode. So none of that here. We stick to like human typing speeds, human exploiting speeds. Yeah, keep it.
Yeah, and for anybody new to the stream, in the top left we have SPQ, in the top right we have quend, in the bottom left we have Zap, and in the bottom right we have aweinstock.
Yeah, so they are all trying to solve the same pwnable challenge as fast as possible.
And one comment about volume, so I should probably get closer to the mic.
Yeah, we I guess we have been like kind of
Get closer to the mic and also speak up.
Yeah, been leaning back a little bit. It's ridiculously warm here at CCC camp, and we are even like inside in a tent with some shade, but still, it's warm. But yeah, we'll try to yeah, speak up. So thanks for feedback on the volume. So can check in here with aweinstock again and see that. I mean, he's adding stuff to this format string, and it looks like, you know, he's I'm trying to kind of decipher what different parts he has. There's some different writes there, and there's like offset to leak. Yeah, so trying to leak that it's like libc base or something to be able to know where to jump afterwards. And yeah, same here with SPQ. You know, just trying to. He's also like checking the address of two different functions, like alarm and system. See like the difference between them, to see if like it's feasible to do a partial overwrite. I guess between them. Okay, so if we look at SAP again, it's just started debugging the challenge again to let's see what his goal is here. Like why? Yes, again, he's also like looking at the address of the system function and the exit function. So we can see this, like many of the players are doing this, like trying to figure out like the relative offsets between these library functions. So I presume it is because they want to do like a partial overwrite to replace one of them with the other, and specifically replacing exit with system, so that you can then call that with your own argument and pop a shell, complete the challenge. So yeah, I you know, still not seeing that progress. There's, I guess, you know, I'm not really sure what the thing is that they're. I mean, this I can, like, when doing this like format string things, it's like in theory they are, you know, not that complicated, but in practice there's always that little thing that makes it, you know, not as easy as it should have been. So yeah, and I guess that
I mean, we don't call them challenges because they're easy.
True. It's I mean, yeah, and yeah, I mean this some.
It is easy to get in a you know, loop where you try and trial and error your way when you think you're close.
Yeah, exactly, and it might be like you feel that you are really close to like a solution, so you like start trying to like cut corners and like, you know, skip some details just to like try to get to that finish line, but in the end you just like end up kind of like making things really messy or like tangled up, and you know, just ends up costing you time in the end because you have to actually go back and then just redo it like properly in a more structured way anyway. So yeah, that's definitely something that happens, and yeah, so just trying to see where. So if we look here again at quend, she's again like looking at the stack and the binary ninja output, I guess, to like see where. You have a solve?
Yep, looks
Great.
like we have a SPQ.
Yeah,
on the second
good job.
solve in a row.
Solve the second challenge. So I started the countdown timer, and so you can see if any of the other participants have managed to solve it within the 5 minutes they have to catch up. So yeah. Okay, so see here. So quend is looking at some kind of documentation, I guess, or some exploit write-ups or something. Always good to use like older materials to reference and compare.
Okay, I can dynamically calculate libc base, I think.
Okay, we have some. So Aweinstock might be onto it. Will he get it in the 4 minutes he has left?
Probably not. My hope is to.
So he's saying probably not, which means that he does not have the right attitude. What he should have said is hell yeah, and then just pop that shell. So we'll see. Will he make it? Put your bets in now. Oh.
And a comment from Nicholas about SPQ. This man is so good looking and can compone at the same time. Crazy.
So
SPQ is beat red right now.
yeah. So Nicholas B is another member of ESPR, right? Yeah. Unfortunately not here. Kind of disappointed in you, Nicholas. But yeah. But at least like cheering on his teammate from online, so that's good. So yeah, we can check in with Sap again. Seems to look, considering his format string here with a %n, and like he has the like bin sh string there, so he's putting all these pieces together, trying to do like a partial overwrite, but so what part of this is not working yet? That's the question. And yeah, so we are now at
2 minutes and 15 seconds remaining.
exactly. So yeah, the pressure is really building here, and so if aweinstock would get this in within these 2 minutes.
No pressure.
Is that like a... Yeah, okay. There was some worrying
don't worry about it.
beeping noise. I mean, after playing too much Counter-Strike, you associate that with like bad stuff. So yeah. Anyway, we're not getting blown up. We are, looking at this excellent exploit being written, and hopefully that shell being popped. Because, as I was about to say, if he managed to pop the shell, he would get those 3 points, which would bring him up to a second place. And I actually think so. This has taken a bit longer than anticipated. So we'll see if there will be another challenge. Let's look at that. In a minute when this challenge is over.
That's going to be a question for y'all.
Yeah.
The question was, will we do another? And we will find out.
Yeah. So, yeah. We have... yeah, so quend looking at some GDB output, and this time not at like dumping the memory, but actually looking at like registers and what values they end up having. So now let's see, 30 seconds, can aweinstock make it? That would be like the cinematic moment. The pressure is on. We have 10 seconds remaining, and it's
4, 3, 2, 1.
done. Okay, well done everyone. Great job. So,
Is there time to discuss like the path that
So we have SPQ as the winner again, which and none of the other participants solving it. So the current standing is SPQ at 10 points and the others at 0 points. Now we have been going on for quite a bit longer than expected. So I'm basically gonna ask the participants, do you want to go for another one?
I'm fine declaring SPK the winner.
Yeah, everyone's fine. Yeah, so basically it's, we have had 2 great challenges here. It's really warm here. I think we're all getting a little bit, tired and hungry. So actually we're gonna do a bit of like a wrap up here. So that means that for this special episode of Pwny Racing on site from CCC Camp, we have SPQ as our winner. Congratulations. But we also want to thank all of our participants, Quend, Sap, and Aweinstock, for participating. Great job. And yeah, thanks to Vito for co-commentating this with me.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, so for those who are watching this for the first time, this is basically, it was a slight variant of what like this monthly thing we do. So we send once per month on YouTube, where we have 4 participants trying to be the quickest to solve a pwnable challenge with commentary by me, and then usually my teammate Bob, who's also the author of these really nice challenges. And we invite some, different people from the community, and established people, up and comers, and we also release most of the time the day after we broadcast our episode. We release what we call the community challenge, which is another pwnable, and if you solve that one, you get a chance to get invited as a participant for the next episode. So more information, the old episodes, the community challenges, all of this can be found on our website, pwny.racing. And for people who are here on site, I have some Pwny Racing stickers with our new fresh graphics that we have commissioned. So feel free to pick up some of those. And for everyone on site and off site, I will hope that you all tune in for the next episode, which will be in about a month. It will be announced on Twitter and on the website. But yeah, roughly a month from now, probably on a Saturday. Thanks all for tuning in, and have a nice day.